Hello, it is Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Pro Football Today. My name is Craig. I'll be your host. Let's take a look and see what is going on in the world of National Football League. So, first off, the Browns announced about an hour ago that Baker Mayfield is excused from mandatory camp. Both sides agreed this was the best course of action. With that, the Browns coach Kevin Stefanski is declining comment on Deshaun Watson, says that they will be respectful of the legal proceedings. He also says everything is going to work out, and he's going to let things work out. Not going to comment on it. Baker Mayfield has been excused. Minicamp is next week. Again, we talked about this yesterday. Every sports show out there that talks with football has talked about this. What do the Browns do? They are, let's zoom out a little bit. There we go. They're in not a great spot. They're in an interesting spot, a crappy spot, to be honest, the opposite of great. They just put all this money into Deshaun Watson. They knew about the allegations, but now more allegations are still coming to the surface. A lot of people out there are saying, can they void the contract? Well, they've already gone this far. They've already got a lot of money that guaranteed money that he's going to get. So you might as well try to get the football, right? I mean, you might as well go. You made this leap before knowing that these allegations were there. You knew before that all these issues were around. You never really did get the ruling of he's suspended, he's going to be here, all this stuff. In the meantime, your quarterback that you once fell in love with, number one pick, Baker Mayfield, is beyond pissed off at you. So he doesn't want to be there. You really kind of want him there just as an insurance policy, as we talked about yesterday. So what do? It's a crappy situation. The Browns kind of made this on their own. They wanted Deshaun Watson, and they knew other teams were talking to him. So they really jumped and made the move. He is their franchise quarterback of the future if he's allowed to play and found innocent of everything. So it's an interesting place to be, but the Browns are going to be the center of the talk until Baker Mayfield's solution for Baker, until Deshaun Watson with the legal stuff gets cleared up, and honestly, once the NFL decides what the suspension or what the punishment's going to be. So we're going to talk a lot of Cleveland Browns here over the next few months until all this stuff cleans up. Okay, some other stuff going on in the world of football. Matt LaFleur from your Green Bay Packers is not worried about Adam Lazard missing minicamp. He wants a long-term deal. I don't have any reservation at this time about him knowing what I do. So he's trying to get a long-term deal. He's trying to have his leverage of not being there, showing that you really need me, you really want me. This is a tactic that's been used for 40 years. So we'll see what happens there. Matt Stafford says he does expect to throw in training camp, which is fantastic. Let's see. Detroit Lions have placed Jermaine Waller on the reserve retired list. Let's take a look here. There's some stories about teams that significantly helped their quarterbacks this offseason. The Jets, the Packers being, I'd say, kind of opposite ends of that. The Jets got a lot of weapons for young Mr. Wilson, and for Mr. Rodgers, they did not quite get a lot. They actually lost his favorite receiver, so we'll see there. Which individuals will have huge years? On the list is Michael Pittman Jr. here from the Colts. We'll go through some of these as we're moving forward. 10 most explosive runners. Okay, Jonathan Taylor's there. Stuff like that. Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is an interesting quarterback with the Eagles. They've upgraded their roster. It's kind of one of those make or break years for Jalen. He, I think, can be an NFL quarterback. I think he's got the skills. I think he has the brain. I think he can be a very, very good quarterback. Is he going to be Donovan McNabb or some of those guys that are absolute legends with the Eagles? Maybe not. But is he going to be a serviceable quarterback that's going to lead them to the playoffs? I think he can, for sure. I think he's really, really good. He's a winner. I think that he is they've got to adjust that offense for him. Let him run some, but don't let him run so much that he's going to get injured. So I think with him, you got to keep the brakes on him. Same with Justin Fields from Ohio State. Those guys are such freak athletes. Justin's obviously with the Bears. They're so good that you have to kind of create the offense for them, but you have to have training wheels, or you have to have kind of blinders where it's not Michael Vick, where just go and run. Because Michael Vick was very, very elusive. Lamar Jackson's kind of the same thing, where if you tell him to go run a lot, is he going to turn into Cam Newton? Cam Newton still should have some tread on his tires, but every time it was 2nd and 1 or 3rd and 1, it was a power shot to the right with Cam Newton. So you have to be careful with Jalen Hurts. I think he's a really good quarterback. We'll see if he leads the Eagles. He's got a lot of upgraded talent, so a lot of articles are going around kind of judging him. We'll see what happens. The Raiders tight end Darren Waller has been focused on football, not contract. First year under Josh McDaniels. We watch a lot of tape of Rob Gronkowski running wild from New England. So Darren Waller is a heck of a tight end. If they turn him into a Gronk Jr., that is bad news for the rest of the AFC West. He is already a beast, and if you kind of turn him into that with his body size and letting him actually go get aggressive to get the ball, that's going to be a good thing for the Raiders. Darnell Mooney, ready for whatever anybody brings me, as the Bears' #1 receiver. I have a lot more in the tank that's been hidden. He's going to be really good this year. Justin Fields is going to look for him a lot. Najee Harris says the Steelers are aiming to lessen his workload. I will not be on the field for certain plays. That makes sense. I think the Colts are probably going to do the same with Jonathan Taylor. You've got to keep some tread on these running back tires, especially as you're moving into the later parts of the season and into the offseason. The next season, you've got to not overuse these running backs. Derrick Henry is a freak. He is an absolute freak, but he did get hurt this past year. So what's going to happen with him? Najee Harris is one of the best running backs in the league. We'll see if they continue to kind of lighten the workload as they're rumors to be. The Walton Penner family bought the Broncos for $4.65 billion with a B. Part of that Walmart money, good for them. That's going to be interesting because every time a new owner comes in, it's always exciting to see what changes are made and see what happens with the Broncos. The Lions are looking to get creative with T.J. Hockenson, their tight end, under new offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. There's been a lot of rumors that not only has Hockenson been not only has he been lined up at tight end, but he's been lined up over in the actual receiving core in the slot. Are they going to put him in the backfield a play or two? He's a big, strong playmaker that the Lions definitely have to use more, regardless of who the quarterback is. Your tight end is your safety net, and he is one of the best out there. Okay, again, with the contract talks, the Steelers' Dante Johnson, not concerned with other receiver contracts. I'll not try to look at that or pocket watch, so we'll see what happens with him. This is just one of those ongoing things. If receiver 7 gets paid, receiver 8 wants to get paid, and so on down the line. The Seahawks restructured former Broncos defensive tackle Shelby Harris to create $3 million in cap space. A lot more about the Broncos. Derek Carr supports signing Colin Kaepernick, says he and I would get along great. Kaepernick is still out there. He did work out with the Raiders, so we'll see what happens there. Another article about Jalen Hurts with the Eagles. That is going to be a big story moving forward. The Niners offensive tackle Trent Williams says that he wishes Aaron Donald would have retired. He deserves the contract, but obviously we know what he can do. Obviously, if you have to block him, you don't want to face him. Jamal Adams will be back for the Seahawks for training camp, which is great news. He had a shoulder issue. Seems like he's going to be, hopefully, just fine, so we can see him flying around the ball. Bill Belichick remains mum on the offensive plan. If you think we're going to run the Veer offense, no. Okay, well, the Veer is out of the question for the Patriots. We'll see who the play caller is. We'll see what they do as they move forward. Let's see, what else? A lot about the Broncos. Chiefs offensive tackle Orlando Brown is very confident that a long-term deal will get worked out. It's not the year to go into the season with a backup left tackle, so I'm very confident with the Kansas City Chiefs. Ooh, those are a little fierce words. You're not going to come in with an offensive tackle, so I'm your guy. So we'll see. He's a heck of an offensive tackle. He deserves that contract. Let's see. C.J. Beathard from the Jaguars was carted off a couple days ago. It ends up being a groin injury, and it's not going to require surgery, so it's not going to be that long of a recovery. And honestly, we're back to where we were yesterday with some of the contracts. Darius Leonard with his surgery and some things like that. So that's kind of where we are on the news front. Now let's talk quarterbacks. Okay, let's stick with the NFC for the quarterbacks. Let's go out west. Let's knock these guys out. First, let's talk with the Seahawks. They got Drew Lock. They got Geno Smith. They even got Jacob Eason from my Colts here. Drew Lock, he looked good at times with Denver, bad at times with Denver. Is he your franchise quarterback? I don't think so. I think that he's just kind of a Band-Aid to see where they're going to rebuild, where they're going to restructure this entire organization. Can he make some spectacular plays? For sure. They just don't have many playmakers out there. DK Metcalf hopefully is going to be on the field, and they're just going to look at him a lot. So we'll see what happens with Drew Lock. I'm not real confident in him leading Seattle to where they need to be. Now, let's go down Arizona. Kyler Murray. He's all shades of mad. He had this cryptic tweet thing and a release from his agent. He's been all over the place this offseason. He deleted the Cardinals. Now he's back with the Cardinals. He's going to be their quarterback. He wants a new deal, but if you're Arizona, you've got to prove it. You're just good enough to get us into contention or get us to the playoffs, but can you win the title for us? It's a great question that he honestly has got to answer. They've got a really, really good team. Are they second? Are they third? Can they catch the Rams? What's going on with Arizona? It is a big year for Arizona, for Kingsbury, and for Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray is one of those guys that can get the job done, but his size is still worrisome. How he plays is worrisome because if one's not open, two's not open, boom, he's gone. And with that size, he's a couple hard licks away from really getting hurt. Thankfully, it hasn't happened yet, and hopefully it doesn't. But that size is still something you got to be worried about. San Francisco, what are we doing? Jimmy G? We're going to hand the reins over? What's going on in 49er land? Trey Lance, is he the guy? They want him to be the guy. Jimmy G is really interesting to me, especially being with the Colts here. He was rumored almost all offseason to be coming here. He's been to the Super Bowl. He's been to the AFC Championship game. But when he's there, he kind of makes a couple bonehead plays. Can he kind of get that straightened out and actually be the franchise quarterback? I don't think it's going to be in San Francisco. He's not healthy, first off. They didn't trade him during the draft. I think he is going to be very similar to Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. He's going to be that insurance policy this year. I think it's Trey Lance's team. I think he will succeed because they have a heck of a team and a heck of a roster. Shanahan is a heck of a coach. Trey Lance is going to come in there and see immediate success. But here's the question. What happens if Jimmy G beats him out in training camp? What if there's a clear-cut winner, A and B? What do you do then? Do you really just keep going with Jimmy G until Trey beats him, and then at that point, then you bail on Jimmy G? Or do you want to prove a point and say, this is Trey's team, I'm getting rid of Jimmy G? That's going to be a great question, and it's really, we're not going to know the answer to that one for a few more weeks either, if we even do get an answer. And then Matt Stafford with the Rams, he's number one. We waited for him. Super Bowl champion, an absolute surefire Hall of Famer. He's going to be throwing a training camp. He's got Cooper Kupp. He's got his weapons there. OBJ hasn't signed for a reason. I feel like once he gets healthy, he's going to slip right back into the Rams. They've got the mad scientist with McVay calling plays. Matt Stafford is your number one quarterback in the NFC West. Number two, I guess it's going to be Kyler Murray, but he makes you really, really nervous. He started off so hot last year, and they just cooled off and limped into the playoffs and just had a really kind of boring exit. The 49ers, you put 3 because you don't know. You don't know who Trey Lance is. You don't know what he's going to bring to the table. You don't know if Jimmy G is going to be all focused in, head in the game, ready to roll. He's out there doing Subway commercials. He's probably out there marketing himself to get with a different team, but what's going to happen there? And then Drew Lock up in Seattle, I just don't trust the Seahawks roster more than anything, and I think Drew is fine. He's going to be able to get you through the season, but he's going to lead them to, 5, 6, 7 wins? He's not going to take them to the playoffs. So my order of quarterbacks in the NFC West: Stafford with the Rams, I guess Kyler Murray, then the San Francisco quarterback situation, and then Seattle. Thanks again for joining me for another episode. We really enjoy this. I really love taking my time out of the day to talk some football. It really stinks right now. There's not a ton going on. And some of these articles, they're all over the place. Ian Rappaport's got some stuff out there that I pull from. There's a couple other Twitter handles around the NFL is a really good one. Those articles are all out there. You can find them. People are talking about these same stories all over the place. What I like to do is just touch on them, give a few pieces of tidbits that I feel, and then really let's get to the meat and potatoes, and that's kind of going through the quarterbacks. And yes, it's something that everybody's sitting around having quarterback talk. Everybody's talking about the Browns, everybody's talking about the 49ers, but they're interesting. Tomorrow we're going to go NFC East. Let's go out to the East and see what we think. I touched on Jalen Hurts a little bit. I want to get into that a little bit deeper. Let's look and see his weapons, and let's talk about what quarterback is the best in the NFC East. But anyway, I thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we're going to do these videos every single day. Pro Football Today. I thank you so much. We'll talk to you tomorrow.